recording. I got it.
Hello. You're listening to SheKings for peasants who don't want to live a shitty life. This podcast is all about putting down labels, putting down societal expectations, and picking up your true way of being, stepping to your life. God damn it. God damn it, I messed up.
It's the whisper. The
It's the
whisper is what
whisper.
threw you off.
Why do people whisper their podcast introductions? So we'll try it again next week. Guys, listeners, what do you think about the whisper? Like, I mean, we don't know why people do it. Allie says it's a no for her, but I'm like, we've got to whisper so that people can realize that it's stupid and stop it from now until forevermore. And so we will be whispering our goddamn introduction when we record it.
That's all Erica. Erica will be whispering.
It's a shout out to people to stop it. You know what I mean? Like, you don't have to whisper your podcast introduction. That's what everyone's doing. You don't have to. So anyway.
Did we get feedback on last week's letting go of something that you got that won't let go of you?
I'm sure I got some feedback. It was all good.
Okay. Good.
The week before that, I got a couple of yelling ats, which was
awesome. Those are the best.
Thank you guys for yelling at us.
I love those.
Are listening. We're listening. We love constructive support and everything like that. And
yeah. There's a saying that if you are looking for self-realization, being criticized is the best thing for you.
Why?
Because so you get to hear people's story that they have about you, and then you can just sit with it and go, is that true?
Is that
Can
true?
I shift that? Can I work on that? Yeah.
Maybe it is
I love
true.
that.
So
absolutely.
Yeah, we take all of your thoughts, good or bad, and we haven't gotten any feedback that we want to make fun of yet, but we're hoping as
it will happen
as we reach more people that we can laugh and laugh. But keep it coming. We appreciate it. Today we are coming to you with our third and final episode about letting go. Today we're going to be talking about letting go of guilt. And this is for you guys who have been carrying around the drama of days past, things that you did that you don't think you should have done, and we're going to try to help you to move through it. But at the end of the day, I think the big thing, and I think you'll agree with me on this, Allie, the big thing about letting go is that it's really up to you. If you want to be in the feeling bad of things, then it is 100% available to you. And when you're ready to get joyful, that's also available to you.
Yeah. So. And if you haven't listened to the first two episodes, we encourage you to do it. So the first one was letting go of something that you didn't get. And then the second one is letting go of something that you did get that you weren't expecting. And so listen to those. And so now for the guilt one, I would have to say that mine isn't the past guilt, holding on to stories. Mine is, it's around my kids. Like I still have it around my kids. So I help out with the grandbabies like every day. And if there's some mornings where I can't help my daughter take the 3 little ones to school, like I have guilt.
Yeah.
And then I'll have to explain, like, I really want to do this class and I won't be able to make it or whatever it is. And my daughter's just like, okay, mom, like, it's no big deal. I'm like, are you sure you're going to be okay? Like, I can move things around, even though I really want to take this class.
Yep.
Yeah, that's mine all the time. And so me and my husband are leaving to Dubai for a month. And so And I'm just like, will the babies be okay without
Yep.
me?
Yep.
Like, I won't be here to help. And
Yep.
then it's just that whole guilt thing. Yeah. So that's me. I'm, as far as that goes, queen of guilt. And my kids know it. They don't exploit me, but they do point it out. They're just like, hey, mom, when you're done working through that guilt, did you let us know we're getting on with our day? Like, it doesn't matter with
Right.
us either way.
We're good.
It's like, we appreciate your help, but you go ahead and work through it. And we hope you come out on the other end.
That's interesting, actually.
Yeah.
So essentially, you're making up a story about how it's affecting other people, what you did or what you may not do in the future.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
So when I look at guilt, I always say that you feel guilty when you're acting out of alignment with your values, right? So with something that you think is important, but you just added another layer to it. You're not only acting out of alignment with what your values are, right? Or what you think they are. We'll get into that. But you then are making up a story about how it's affecting other people. Whoa.
Yeah.
Wow.
Are the babies sad that I
Wow.
wasn't with them? Oh, yeah. Leave it
Oh
up
my
to me to add
gosh.
a layer.
Oh my gosh. That is amazing. I love that. So when I was thinking about that, acting out of alignment with our values, I started to think, like, whose values are they, right? Like, are they really those things that are like deeply intrinsically you? Or is it something that was given to you by someone else? So going back to our first episode, we talked a lot about labels. And when I look at what you just said about yourself, what is I think is more of a label. What's the value that you are violating by not being there every morning for your grandbabies?
Yeah.
What does that mean to you? Why do you think you're supposed to be there?
Once I sit down with it, I know it's me, right? I will miss taking them to school, right? I will miss not showing up. So I feel like I'm taking that away from myself because of another decision or a choice that I want to do. So then, and then it's just projecting, right? Will my daughter be able to handle it? Of course, I know she will because she does it all the time. Will the babies be happy on their way to school? Because I hook them up. I bring them snacks. They have Friday is Donut Friday every morning for Friday mornings. I have my iPad, so they watch a movie. Like, I hook them up on their way to school. My daughter doesn't care. She's like, get in the car. We're going to school, and I don't want to hear any whining about it. So it's totally for me. Everything is for me. But yeah, it's my day. It's my routine. And I have attached a lot to it. Like,
but then
because I really have nothing else going on.
Oh, Allie. But it's interesting because, but you're calling it guilt. So there's one thing if it's nostalgia, right? Like how fun it would have been for you, or like a little bit of sadness, but like guilt.
Yeah.
Guilt is something else. Like guilt is like when it's, and maybe I'm just like stuck in my idea of what guilt is, but guilt is when you feel bad about it. You're like, I feel bad about something I did or didn't do.
Yeah.
Huh.
The experience in my head might be a lot more great than the babies, because I see it as I'm providing this amazing service, like interaction, the snacks, the movies, where they're just like, yeah, that's great. They're fine either way. Yeah.
So what do you say to people who are dealing with, what do you say to yourself about this guilt?
I work through, like, is it true that the grandbabies are sad? It's not true.
Yeah.
Like they're totally fine. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it true that that I'm sad? It's like, no, I'm actually not sad
Uh-huh,
at
uh-huh,
all.
uh-huh.
But I do let my story of guilt around the babies, like I could have moved to somewhere where it's super warm, doesn't snow years ago,
Mm-hmm.
like to St. Martin,
For example.
for example. And but then it's just like, well, no, my grandkids are here and I do want to be around them. I couldn't, I guess, I don't even know if that's guilt. I guess I couldn't uh, fathom not seeing them every day, if not every other day.
Mm-hmm.
Like I can't wrap my mind around it. So I don't know if that is guilt or not, but definitely when I miss the morning routine, it's guilt.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it seems like at bottom, in your situation, you're making a decision. And what feels out of alignment in this guilt situation is this idea that making someone else happy is more important than making yourself happy. And so
Yes.
I feel like when if you're dealing with the type of guilt that Allie is talking about right now, the question is, are you giving from your fullness? You know,
Yeah.
are you, uh, when you're happy, when you are feeling good, when you're giving yourself absolutely everything that you need, what you then share with your grandbabies or anyone in your life that you really value and you want to give to, it's so much more beautiful. It
Yeah.
really is. And you're also giving them an example of how to be.
Yeah.
How to be, you know, and I look at my people in my life who have kids that they feel, you know, guilty they can't be for every single thing, whether it's like a play date or a game or whatever it is. I think it's one thing if you're not there because you would feel guilty about missing work or you would feel guilty about, you know, some other thing. So you're just exchanging guilt for guilt. I think it's another thing when you're doing something for yourself. You're like, okay,
Yeah.
this is what it takes for me to be a happy, stable human being. And I'm killing two birds with one stone here, right? I am being the example of a person who is joyful and who takes care of themselves, which is all you want for your grandbabies, right? You don't want your grandbabies out here feeling guilty. You want them to be like happy. You know, you're like, listen, remember all those times I took you to school? Fun
Right.
donut Fridays. You can't come see grandma. You can't.
This is my retirement plan.
Exactly.
Build it up while I'm young, and then with my kids, the grandkids, and then the great grandkids. Like I will be coasting. I'll be like, take care of me.
Exactly.
What are you talking about?
You just throw your arms back. You remember? You remember.
Yeah.
All right.
Remember the snacks?
Maji was right there. Okay.
That's right. That's
taking
right.
care of you. So, you know, full circle.
And it
full
is
circle, kids.
It is so, and I do this with my clients too, is when they feel guilty going to a yoga class or going to the spa or something like that, right? They feel like they should be at home, they should be cleaning. And it is true. It has nothing to do with the actions. It has everything to do with the energy behind the action. So if like, how do you feel after your spa? I feel so good. I feel so happy. I feel so relaxed. That's the frequency that you're kicking out. That's what you're sharing with everybody around you versus no spa, but you've cooked, you've cleaned, you've done laundry, you've drove the kids around. And then how are you feeling? I feel stressed.
Yeah.
I feel overwhelmed. I feel resentful. I feel whatever it is. And then, so that is the frequency and the energy you're sharing with everything else. So yeah, working through that guilt. And when you were talking, it's like, absolutely. When there's days when instead of doing it 5 days a week, taking them to school, like if it's 3, like I am so energetic with those 3 days because it's not like every day, like every day.
Yeah. Every day.
Every day. And then I get creative and we sing and, you know, we sing songs on the way to school, whatever it is. Yeah, it is totally different energy. Yeah.
So
But
yeah.
that's my
Yep.
guilt thing. So even the whole month that I'm going to be in Dubai, I will be Skyping. I will be checking in to be
Yep.
like, how are
Yeah.
you?
But but it's like you said, it's completely different energy when you're doing it from your overflow. You're doing it
Yes.
because you want to. You're like, I miss those
Yes.
babies' faces. And it becomes that beautiful selfishness where you're like, nah, this is really,
Yeah.
it's really
Yeah.
cool. You're
Because
welcome.
when it's like that, and then we might have them a day during the day because one's sick, and then we have them over the weekend. Then they start to become my kids, and
Right.
then I'm like, I'm done now. Stop
Right.
talking to me.
Right.
Go
Exactly.
sit in timeout. I'm
Exactly.
done. I'm
Exactly.
done.
Exactly.
It's not fun anymore. It's not fun Maji Papa time. It's like I think we're their parents, and I don't want to be their parents. So, yeah,
So, a note to you guys who feel guilt in those everyday things, like you are literally draining the joy from your life. And you're doing it from a space that when you really take a step back and look at it, you don't want to be doing it from that space. Like,
yeah,
is it what you want to be actually giving, like energetically? Is
hmm
this what you want to be giving? Like begrudgingly doing something that you want to be giving it from like happiness. Like, yes, I can't wait to do this. I'm so excited. You know, like Ali said, all of a sudden I've got all these songs, yada, yada, yada. So
yeah.
homework for people who are feeling guilt, this like sort of everyday guilt. Um, what should it be, Ali?
Why are you doing it? Like, what is your motivation behind it?
Yes.
Because I'm literally supporting the belief that my daughter can't do it,
Yep.
and I know it's not true.
Yep.
And so, yeah, why are you doing it? What are you supporting? And understand that if your answer is I'm doing it to be kind and not selfish, everything is selfish.
Mm-hmm.
Everything is absolutely selfish. So let that excuse go, because not doing it or doing it is totally selfish. It's
Mm-hmm.
based off of how you feel. So kind of going along with guilt is rewriting the definition that you have for selfish,
Mm-hmm.
because I'm doing this. I don't want to feel guilty. I'm doing it to be selfless,
Yep.
and I don't want to do that because that's selfish, and then that guilt is tied into that. Rewrite it. Everything that you could possibly ever do is selfish, and then selfish isn't what we think it is. So if you don't go to the spa, that's selfish, because now the story is you've attached a story to I feel guilty, or my family will suffer. They won't have dinner in time. They'll think I was lazy. Whatever it is, it's still based around you.
Yep.
Versus I will go to the spa. Still selfish. It's all
So
selfish.
selfish. It's
Yeah,
always selfish. It's
it
always
absolutely is
selfish.
all selfish.
So
Yeah,
I love that. Why are you doing it? And get yourself a nice, good list of why it is that you want to do these things. You want to be kind. You want to make the children feel seen. You don't want to feel guilty.
yeah,
You don't want to be selfish. Like get like good, bad, ugly. Just write down every single reason why you say you are doing the things you do. And then once you get that list, ask yourself, am I accomplishing my list? Am I being kind
yeah,
by doing it
yeah,
and or not doing it and feeling guilty? Am I actually achieving my goal when I am doing things to avoid feeling guilty, or I'm doing things because I feel guilty of being
yeah.
kind?
And it's not kind to the people that you're doing it for or to. It's kind to yourself,
Absolutely. Am I
right?
being kind? Or
Yeah.
but you know, they're also you. Are you being kind to them too? Are you being
Are you,
kind to anyone
are
when
you
you are
cussing
doing?
out the babies all the way to school? Stop
Yep,
talking.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So
And I
look
like
at your
that.
list, ask yourself if you're accomplishing it. Go ahead.
Right. And then I like what you said in the beginning, because then you'll be able to see if that's in alignment
Yep,
with you, your values.
absolutely.
So if your value is this week, and I like to do this for myself, is this week I want to be joyful. That is my value for this week. And if this week seems too big, too grand for today, my value is joyful or patient or whatever it is, then your actions need to support that. So if patience, like I really want to be patient today. And so I know I can't access that with a bunch of screaming babies because I'm not in that space, then the answer, it's a yes for me to be like, I'm going to stay home this morning
Yep.
and not do the carpool. So that's in alignment. That's in alignment with your values. If you want to be kind and try different things, right? So then it's saying yes to a whole bunch of different things and just being with it. Oh, this is how I feel, right? I feel good here. I don't feel good here. Whatever it is, then after you write them down and you look at it and the reasons why, then just say, is this in alignment with me and who I am?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I love that. Okay. Hopefully that makes sense. If not, just send us a message and say you guys are a mess. And we'll laugh and laugh. Okay. And then I wanted to bring up another kind of guilt, right?
Mhm.
So, guilt about something you did in the past. I feel like this one is getting super heavy. One of my teachers, whom I love, I've never actually even experienced in person, but I still consider him a teacher, is Muji. And he had an interesting situation where someone stood up in one of his satsangs, and a satsang is a meeting around spirituality, essentially. And so you come and you get a teaching. Typically, it's open for questions and with things that you're working through in your life. And so Muji holds satsangs all over the world. And he had one where a woman stood up and she talked about how she had been a part of a organized community and a commune. And the vibe there from the leader and the leadership was very much like, this is how you treat your children and this is how you interact as a woman. And she bought into it hook, line, and sinker. So a lot of corporal punishment with her kids, and just exposing them to some things that in retrospect now, 20 years later, 30 years later, she has so much regret about, so much guilt, and you can feel it in her speaking. And she was talking about how, one or two of her children, now she's left that community, one or two of her children are still involved, heavily involved, and they've sort of been brainwashed just the same way she was, that now she's a traitor. And one or two of her children are now out of the community and they're like, what the fuck was that? Thanks, mom. Right. And
Yeah.
you know I think that's some heavy stuff. And a lot of people deal with that sort of guilt looking back, just how they raise their children. What are some other guilty? Oh, not being present again around relationships in life. So not being present with aging parents, not being present with someone that you cared about when they passed away, not being present. And this could be because of work or because you're in another relationship that you thought was so important then and now it's behind you and you're like, oh, I probably should have been more present with this person or these people. What other type of big stuff like that where you look back?
Like divorce,
Yeah.
second guessing yourself, like, should I have done that? Should I walked
Yes.
away?
Yes. What did that do to the kids? What did that
Yeah,
do to my life and my finances? Right.
yeah.
A lot of people feel guilt around that.
Any type of experience with another person while, within your marriage.
Yep.
Um,
Cheating and
yeah,
even if you have an open relationship, if you feel like you've hurt the person because of something that you've done outside of the relationship,
yeah.
that stuff
With
can
your
really eat
jobs.
away. Huh?
Yeah, or walking away from a job, like taking a different job, or walking away from a job.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I
And
think
feeling
those.
like you left the people at that job high and dry, or feeling like you shifted your family's finances because you were pursuing a dream. These are
Yeah,
the types of things that, yeah, can cause a great amount of guilt. A
yeah,
great
I
amount.
think too. Like I have some clients that I work with for abortions.
Oh yeah, that's a big one. Oh, goodness
Yeah,
me. Goodness me. That is a huge one.
Yeah.
And it is definitely that being out of alignment with your values,
Mm-hmm.
or the values given to you by society, right?
Yeah.
So I remember being in college, and this is stepping away from heaviness a little bit, but just I want to get a little bit more clear about being out of alignment with values that were given to you or ideas that were planted in your mind. I was in college, and a good friend of mine still today, and she probably doesn't even realize how much it affected me, but we went to this house party, and I was dancing with her boyfriend. And anybody who's been to a house party, Black students, it is just, sort of booty shaking, you know, fun, crazy. And I was dancing with my good friend's boyfriend, and she, in literally not thinking, not thinking anything of it. It could have been a wall, like whatever. But she walked up to me after, and she was like, I was really uncomfortable with that. And, how could you? And it like shocked me. I was like, wait, what? Oh my God. Like, what are you talking about? But now I realize that I have this weird thing with the significant others of my friends where I'm like, I would never, ever, ever want someone to think. And so I just the slightest like guilt if I feel like, oh, I shouldn't have asked that person that thing or said that thing or laughed and touched their shoulder. I'm a toucher, which I wasn't always. I don't know where that touching thing came from. It's a new thing, like the last 2 decades. But anyway, so that was something that was given to me, and I just took it on, right? And so, what kind of parent you're supposed to be. You know, good mothers are this way. And so if you were anything out of line with that, then you're a bad mother. And it's like, well, being that kind of mom actually didn't resonate with me. Like that didn't work for me, or it doesn't work for me. And so I think one bit of advice I would give to people is to understand that when you feel guilt, you're out of alignment with some value you hold. Take a look and see if it's actually your value. Do you even
Right.
agree with that? And if it isn't yours, throw that shit away, you know?
Yeah. And that's easy to find out. It's just, I shouldn't have done this. Okay. Why is that my story? Why shouldn't I have done it? Because, and then you'll be able to notice that the story just keeps going and going and going.
Mhm.
Right. Especially with abortions. I shouldn't have done that. Why? Because religion, or that's not how I was raised. It's like, okay, well, you're a grown person now, so
Mhm.
what is your thoughts around that? Like your thoughts, not your churches
Mhm. Mhm.
or societies or your parents. Like, what are your beliefs around it?
Absolutely.
Because obviously your beliefs are different because you were able to go through with it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. and
Absolutely.
and it's just the suffering is the story,
Yep.
the story that you've attached to your actions.
I'm supposed to be like this
That's real.
because people say I'm supposed to be like this, and that's your
Yeah.
story.
Yeah.
Now, if you question it and you find like, wait a minute, no, these are my values actually, and this doesn't feel right in my soul that
Yeah.
I did this thing. You should know that those are your values today.
Hmm.
Those are your values with the life that you have right now. And you got to take a look back at who you were then. We were all, we are all doing the best we can with what we have right now. Even when it doesn't quite feel right at that moment, it's literally all you've got. You have this amount of information. You are this person right now today. You were that person back then. And so going back and holding yourself to the standard of who you are today, to the knowledge that you have today, to the information that you have today, It's not right. It is it's absolutely no good. And it is a recipe for destroying your right now. It's a recipe for destroying all the possibilities that you have today. Um, and so, seeing that, I would recommend to anyone who you say, these are my values today. I recognize that, and obviously, I did the best that I could back then. I recommend to anyone who's going through something like that to seek some help. To really, really, there's so many different modalities that can help you. I think obviously a lot of you guys are, straight and narrow, and I'm not a huge therapy person for myriad reasons. Um, but if you're a person who wants to go through the past and understand it, perhaps therapy is for you. I highly recommend matrix reimprinting with emotional freedom technique. I'll put a link below. Um, what else there's a rapid eye therapy.
Oh, yeah, EMDR.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I recommend that. I know some
Mhm.
people who've had some good success with that.
Yeah.
But spiritually speaking, before I get to
I
that, what do you recommend?
the one thing that I recommend and I work through with my clients is and I do it for myself is just accepting what is. And so if you're accepting what is, then you accept what was, and then you accept what will be. So um, you did that thing because you were supposed to do it. If you weren't supposed to do it, then you would have never done it. And
Mhm.
so, and it's not a dismissive way of being, it is just an acceptance way of being. Because when you put the power into that thing and you're fighting against it, right? I should have never done that. And then it's just playing over and over and over in your head, and then your body starts to respond in the way that it does. Um, when you accept it, when you just say, I did it because obviously I was supposed to do it. I don't like how that felt, so I won't do that again.
Yep.
That's why we're here, is to say, this feels good, this doesn't feel good. When I do this, I notice the guilt, right? It's not in alignment with the essence of who I am. So then I'm not going to do it again.
Yep.
So you get it's to think that all our decisions are going to make us feel amazing. They're not, because that's not why we're here. We're here to go, okay, this is a choice, I'm going to go this route. Nope, didn't like how that felt. And I promise you, the universe will give you so many chances to do the
Mhm.
same thing over and over and over
Mhm.
again. Then you pick something different. I'm making a different choice this time, or whatever it is. So acceptance is huge.
Mhm.
Not fighting against what you did through the feeling of guilt, um, through the feeling of resistance, self-loathing, whatever it is, just
Mhm.
accept. Like, I did it because I was supposed to do it. If I
And,
wasn't supposed to do it, then I would have never done it. But
and
now I
let's be
get the
clear,
opportunity. Yeah.
the absence of acceptance is accepting misery, right? It's
Yeah.
like saying, it's essentially saying, I deserve to be flagellated by myself on a daily basis, every moment of every day. When I think about this, like, I deserve to, and you wouldn't do that. You wouldn't say that to a friend.
Right.
When you would hold a space of love for a friend. And, like Ali said, this is not meant to be dismissive, because I would say, um, spiritually speaking, we are all meant to be free. And the truth is, whatever happened yesterday, whether it was good or bad, it's a limitation. It's a limitation on your life. And so the intention of holding memories is to move through life in a beautiful way. But we are taking to learn, and then come back to this present moment and act from now, releasing everything but the lesson. And so when we are holding on to memories and holding on to guilt and holding on to these things, we're literally living in a way that was not intended. And so anyone who is on a spiritual path and serious about the spiritual path says that my day starts fresh and new every single day. It is like everything behind me falls away and I step into the light of today. Like, and it's not to say that you don't learn. When you feel the heat from the fire, you're like, oh yeah, that's problematic action. Let me go this way. But that's built into the system. There's an understanding. You don't have to recall the time that you placed your hand on the burner and cry about it. Oh my God, I remember it like it was yesterday. Oh, my hand was so red. I deserved it. My mom told me to stop. I feel so bad. If I would have just listened to it, that's not what it's calling for, right? You don't have to take the lesson with the whole fucking story. You take the lesson is built into how it feels. Like you feel like, the heat being that emotion creeping back up, that resistance creeping back up. As soon as you get into that space, you're like, oh, yes, go towards joy. Yeah. I should be going that way over there and get to it. And if we all lived like there was no yesterday, like there was no yester moment, we would be in a constant state of freedom, which is what we were intended to be.
Yeah.
So,
I like it. Yeah. And so the homework for both of these, I would do the same thing for something a little more deeper that we just talked about, a little more heavier. If you're holding on to guilt with that, the same thing, because it's heavier because we say it's heavier. Yep. Right? It's more difficult because we say it's more difficult when literally it's the same process can be used for both of those things, right? Guilt, not picking up the babies, guilt for whatever, drinking too much, smashing someone's car windows. I don't know.
Absolutely. Sometimes
going crazy.
Louisville Slugger. So whether it's heavy in quotes or it's lighter, whether it was something from a million years ago or something from yesterday, the question is, what was your intention with the action? Yeah. What were you trying to achieve with the thing that you did or didn't do? And then get that list going and then look at each of those things that you've listed and ask yourself, am I achieving that? And, I like that you brought up the abortion one because most of our listeners are women. And even for the men who have been through that as well, you made that choice for a reason. Why did you do it? Because you didn't think that the situation was the right situation, right? You were seeking freedom. You cared so much about this this being that you said, this is not the right way to come in. And are you being true to those things? Right? Because if you're torturing yourself right now, you missed the point. That's not what you were trying to achieve. Are you achieving what you said you wanted to achieve? Yeah.
And the opposite of that would be keeping a unplanned pregnancy because of guilt, right? And so you have all these reasons why you're keeping this baby, but then you're stressed, you're overwhelmed, you're all
resentful and resentful, treating the child poorly, and on and on and on.
And so that's not in alignment either. So again, the actions don't matter. It's the feeling behind the actions. That's absolutely everything. So, yeah.
Letting these feelings, these emotions guide you. So good. Letting your soul guide you. So good. And you can start today. If you haven't, today is as good a day as any to start loving yourself. Yep.
Like the rest of the day, I'm going to finish binge watching the show on Hulu, and I have no guilt.
The Handmaid's Tale.
No, I finished that one. I'm on to Blind Spot. Yeah. I can't stop watching it.
Absolutely.
But I can't stop watching it because there's really nothing that I want to do that's calling me to go out and do. So I'm not going to go out and do. I'm just
and so Allie is in alignment with her values right now, which are to relax and be kind to herself, where some of us are like, oh, it's a guilty pleasure because what society thinks that you shouldn't binge watch things. Society thinks that you're supposed to be productive every fucking day and it's Monday, no less. Hey, yeah. Society, fuck you. Okay.
That's
I
right.
need rest. I need a minute. Yeah. And so getting to that, listen, if it's not your fucking value, start living your values, not somebody else's. Yeah. And make sure you're not holding your yesterday self to your values of today. Yeah. So that's the show. We love you guys.
Yeah, thanks for tuning in for the 3 episodes. If you haven't listened, go back and listen. And please like us. Please leave some comments. We're really looking forward to growing our community because we're going to be adding some super cool stuff this spring and summer. So please look for it. Share with your friends. And
if you're on YouTube, subscribe.
Yes, please do.
Hello. Yeah. And
how about if we... next week, let's go off of somebody, like whatever you want us to talk about, and we'll pick one for next week. So if you're like, oh, I really want them to talk about this, email us or leave a comment in the video, and we'll do that. So we'll pick one. So hopefully we'll at least get one. And if not, we'll pick a subject.
I mean, honestly, Allie, we're going to be like sorting through, you know what I mean? Probably just this one thing. We're going to get so many suggestions that it's
wonderful.
Keep us busy for weeks. All right. Anyway, guys, you have been listening to SheKings for peasants who don't want to live shitty lives, and we out.
Peace. Have a good week.